debut to happen.
Okay.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
And we are live on that note.
Yes.
It's like everything was going perfectly.
Everyone, can you hear me?
Yeah, everything was going perfectly.
2 seconds.
Until I pressed live, and then it was like, bam! Husband's running in and out, audio dropping out. But we got it.
Did you put a swipe up on your thing?
Oh, I didn't. Lindsay? I should. Okay, hold on. I will do that really quick.
Because that's how I find it, guys, because I'm super Twitch-ified.
Okay, let me just film this real quick. I'm going to invite everybody on Instagram to come to the chat. Okay.
Join us. Oh, wait, you're already here.
We're starting book club, and it's going to be a good time. You swipe up to join on Twitch. Lindsay, can you post this for... Oh, never mind. She sent me the link. Okay, sorry. I'm like trying to multitask, and I feel like I'm all over the place. So sorry, everybody. Do
you guys want to comment on how amazing Lindsay's hair looks?
Yes, I guess.
I think they're already commenting. I love the hair.
Thank you, guys. Okay, this is not copying, but yeah, I had to buy a wig for a project that I was shooting this week, which I can't tell you about yet. But when I was buying the wig for the project, I don't know, this one was on sale, and I was like, I have to get that poor green wig that nobody wants, and I kind of love it. So, and I realized that I have quite a few wigs just from different projects and videos I've done, so I'm like, maybe every week for a little bit, I'll just come on with a different wig. It'll be like, what are we going to wear today?
They're going to be like Moira on...
Moira! Yes, I should just hang them all on the wall behind me and give them names.
You gotta start naming them, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody, we love Schitt's Creek over here. We think it's so funny. You guys are the ones that got me to watch it. You guys and Lindsay Fishman.
Oh, it's so funny.
Oh, Lindsay Fishman loves it too.
Yes, she's the one that kept being like, you have to get through season 1 and you will love it. And so finally I was like, okay. And I was very happy I did.
Agreed?
I did. I very much so agreed. Okay, so everybody, I want to just briefly welcome you to our book club today. I got so many emails, by the way, from you guys. Some of them were really long and so in-depth, and I just want to say thank you for sharing so much of yourself with me and sharing your stories with all of us. They were really inspiring, so thank you for your emails in. And yeah, with that, I think maybe we'll dive right in. But also, let's see. Again, we're reading Daring Greatly is the book, and the reason that I wanted to start with this is because, oh, there, thank you, Janny, our book model. This book is the book that inspired my entire Brave Enough album. Like, people always ask me, what inspires your music? Like, I probably get that question almost more than anything. And honestly, I get inspired by a lot, or for a lot of my writing by literature and books and just like honestly self-help stuff. It like, because it makes me feel powerful. It makes me feel like I can do things, and it fuels my music. So that is why we're reading this book. Also, everyone, I just want to say thank you for subscribing. Thanks for following. Thanks for being here. If you subscribe, you get to be a part of a little subscribers only section of the Discord. I go in there twice a week and I try to answer all the questions that were asked, and that's kind of fun. But anyone can be a part of the regular Discord. So you can just type in !Discord. It will take you to there so you can join in all the fun chats. I really enjoyed seeing all the community. Also, my crew members jump in there a lot and answer questions. So it's creating quite a fun community. And then also, if you subscribe, not only do you get the subs only Discord, but you also get the fun little emoticons, which were made by Helen Butcher, who's actually one of my fans, and I love her art. Okay. With no further ado, that was a mouthful, but I feel like I got it all. So thank you for joining, everybody. Let's dive in. This chapter was like really overwhelming for me. Do you guys I see Benson just like floating in the background? Sorry.
I'm sorry, my computer keeps beeping and I'm like, it's beeping, come fix it. And he's like
crawling in.
Reach up and grab
Army crawl. I'm sorry. I won't call you out next time, Benson. I will.
I know. He can't even hear you, so.
Yeah, I saw his like floating head. was
Ignore the man in the corner.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I can't hear your beeping.
Oh, good.
So
I swear he keeps.
Just kidding.
You
Oh, can you?
can.
Oh, you jerk.
I,
Jen would.
Okay.
I'm just
She
kidding.
says
I
I can't
couldn't
hear
hear
it.
it.
Oh, it's
You're gonna hear it.
I really
Okay,
can't
well, I
hear
guess
it.
it
Yeah,
doesn't
it'll
matter.
probably just
Okay.
annoy you, but
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, I just was worried it was interrupting you guys.
No,
Okay.
I didn't even notice. Okay.
Get out of here. Just kidding.
Oh, aggressive. Okay, so we're starting on page 112, chapter 5. But yeah, this chapter I felt like had so much in it, and it kind of took me like just my thoughts all over the place. So if this feels a little disjointed for anyone else, that's because that's kind of where my brain went when I read, and it looks like Caitlin, you felt the same way.
Yeah. I think, yeah. She just kind of was a little bit all over the place because she was talking about different types
Yes.
of people, and it just felt like it was just there. She was getting through a lot of information, so she had to switch
Yes.
a lot, I think.
But Janny, you were saying that this was your favorite chapter so far. Why was that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the thing that really what it came down to for me is that the other chapters in Brene Brown's work, she discusses them heavily, the topics that were in the other chapters. So vulnerability, shame, and those, well, and more than that, but those two things, blame, disconnection. And so I've studied them heavily. So it was kind of like, this has kind of been like, oh, this is a good refresher. But this chapter had a lot of information in it that I haven't like really dug into a ton. And it just seemed really timely for me to read it, because when you read a book and it's like it doesn't like resonate with you at that time, but then you go back and you read it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so valuable and important to me where I'm at right now. I felt like this was that chapter for me this week.
Oh, it's
So
cool.
I was like, oh, this is good. And I started thinking like, how can I incorporate in this curriculum, and how can I pull this out in my life, and what can I do here and what can I do there? So I had a lot of that going on. So it was harder to get through because I was wanting to internalize it more. So it was good. I liked it a lot. It was a lot of good information.
It was a lot.
Well, I like that because it kind of shows that it's important to, like, even if you've read a book, you can reread it and get more out of it in the future. It doesn't have to be like I've been there, done that. You can learn more.
Right? Well, I feel like in life, we all tend to like have to learn the same lesson a million times. And it's like almost like a lifelong process, the things that we struggle with. It's like you're constantly, hopefully getting better, but we're still being taught. And it's just, even though I've read this book before, I feel like I'm learning a bunch of new stuff, or just things that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I haven't thought about that in a long time. So, let's start.
As we change it. As we change the information, we need to change it. So it was so good. Anyways.
Absolutely. Well, let's see, on page 113 of the book, she says, masks make us feel safer even when they become suffocating. Armor makes us feel stronger even when we grow weary from dragging the extra weight around. So my question is, why would we wear a mask if it's suffocating us? And why would we carry around this armor if it's like dragging us down?
I think for me, it's because it's kind of a gradual process, like it's fine at first and you feel like, oh, this is protecting me. That's why you start doing things in the first place. And so maybe it feels comfortable at first, but slowly it starts becoming uncomfortable. And you're like, well, I'm too far in now. Everyone sees me this way. This is what, I've decided to wear as my mask or carry around with me, and now it's like part of me. So to get rid of it would be probably more painful. Like we can't even like fathom not having it as part of us because it's been with us for so long.
Yeah, I think it feels safe at first because vulnerability is so scary. So it feels safe at first, and then as it becomes cumbersome, like Caitlin said, you're so far in that the fear, because you've created such a distance between your authenticity and this mask, that the fear gets deeper and deeper, because if you pull it away, you're even that much further away from your authentic self. And so exposing that much further of yourself away, you know, would be so frightening. It'd be terrifying. So you just deal with it.
Yeah. So true. And that reminds, oh, sorry, were you done?
Oh, I was just gonna say that's what they actually say why people have midlife crisis is literally because of this right here.
Oh, interesting.
I never thought of that.
By the time they get to their midlife, they thinking, oh my gosh, I'm like halfway through my life and like, who am I?
Yeah.
Like, do people really know the true me? Am I even living the authentic life that I want to be living? And then they legit have a midlife crisis. I'm doing everything in my power to avoid that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm like, not far away.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
No.
But
No.
I also think sometimes you're like, not only do like what does everybody else think I am, but like, do I even know who I am? Is like a terrible. Oh my goodness! I just saw Dark Soul 5768. Thank you so much because they gifted 10 subs. Thank you.
Holy moly.
Deserves a round of applause. Thank you.
That means again, but
It's a big deal. They gifted us. They paid for a subscription for 10 people. That's really cool.
Nice.
So kind of you. Thank you, Dark Soul.
Yeah, because
You little light.
everyone, I know, look at you, just making everybody
Being
happy.
shiny. So what you guys were saying reminded me of something that I learned when I went to a Tony Robbins conference, and he talked about how one of the most primal things that we as humans think we need is certainty. Like the need to like feel like we know what's coming is very, very innate in us. And so like he basically said that sometimes we will often hold on to behaviors or lifestyles that are detrimental to ourselves because internally we at least know where they're going to take us. They're predictable. We know ourselves in that. And the thought of like abandoning even like addictive behaviors that are like really detrimental to you, and it could be a myriad of things like personality traits, it could be disorders, it could be jobs, it could be anything, but
relationships.
Absolutely. It's like, at least I know what this one is, and the certainty is there because I understand it. And so it's an interesting thing to evaluate. What are we holding on to because we feel like it's us, or what are we holding on to because we just know what it is? We understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sorry, I had this thought. I don't know if this really goes along with it, but like when we put a mask on, ultimately we're lying to ourselves and to others, you know, like when we don't allow ourselves to be authentic. And I had an experience, and I think I told you guys about this a long time ago, but where I was trying to return something to Costco that I knew was from Costco, but I hadn't actually purchased it. And so like I went in like, because Costco has a great return policy, you know, and I was like, I'm just going to go in and say that it was a gift and, you know, go from there, and didn't feel like I was lying, even though that wasn't really how I got it. I bought it and then was returning it. Anyways, we'll get to the moral of the story. And so I like went in there all confident. And then in the process of trying to return it, they had asked me more questions. And I just ended up like digging myself deeper into this lie. And it was just like the worst experience ever. Like I felt so awful. They, you know, gave me my money back or whatever. And I like turned around and was like, I literally cannot take this money. Like I just felt so awful about it. And after I resolved a little bit, I like cried the whole way home, and my husband was like, you are ridiculous. I was like, but I like went in there and I felt like, okay, I can do this much, you know, but like even that much was not a good amount of lying. Like there's not a level of like, okay, this is the amount of inauthenticity I can have, because it literally compounds. Like when you have interactions with people, or when you know, try to return something to Costco that you didn't buy at Costco. But, you know, like, it's just, no. Does that make sense at all? Like,
No, it does. And it kind of goes back to what, like, the very first thing you said, which is, like, sometimes things happen gradually. It's like, it doesn't start out, like, I want to be a different person. Like, I want it, like, I mean, maybe it could start there, but I think for the majority of us, inauthenticity starts as one little tiny thing where it's like, I just want to fit in. I just want this person to like me, or I just want to be in a relationship, or like I just want this. And then it compounds and it builds because, like you said, everything over and over again proves to you that that's who you are. And, you know, anyway, so I think that totally makes sense to me. You know, and
But I did give them my money back, guys. I'm not a terrible person.
Wait, you gave
Sorry.
it back?
Yeah, I was like, we gotta. That's why it was even harder to turn around and be like, that was not the truth. Rather than, like, if I would have gone in there with this right story from the beginning, they probably been like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
That happens all the time. Anyways, it
that's
just
so
doesn't
funny.
ever work. Lying is the worst. I'm the worst liar. And I was just like,
I love that you were like, I can't take this. After that whole debacle, you're like, take it back.
Anyway, sorry. Continue.
So speaking of where it all started, I love that she gives the analogy of like vulnerability armory. Like if she could create a setting for it, it would be like a junior high or a high school cafeteria. And I thought that was so funny because I always say that. I always describe situations as, and once again, I felt like I was in the high school cafeteria trying to figure out where to sit. And so I thought it was really funny that that's the example she used. And, you know, I don't know, is there a time that you guys can think of where you felt like you were once again standing in the cafeteria?
Oh my gosh.
I know it's a pretty open question. Or maybe you could talk about maybe what is why do you think she relates it to that, and why is that such a relatable thing?
Well, I mean, it's funny because I had like a very distinct moment in the cafeteria of the high school, which is so funny. Like I had this very distinct moment, and so I grew up dancing. That's what I did. Like, you know, so that was where my probably put too much value and worth, which is funny because after college I didn't dance again, which I miss. One day I might start again. But anyway, so I remember having a group of friends that they were all my dancing friends, and like the cheerleaders, and they were probably, you know, considered well liked. And it's so silly to say all that, but they, you know, considered more the popular crowd. So I had this group of friends, and then I had another group of friends that I had met through like youth groups and through different church functions. And I remember walking into the cafeteria after a summer of being kind of apart and seeing both groups of my friends in this cafeteria, and just walking into a cafeteria. And like you said, Lindsay, that whole thought process of where am I going to sit? Am I going to have a seat? Like, I remember walking in and seeing these two groups and thinking, and the thought came to my mind, and I'm not saying one's better than the other, but who do I want to be? And I could see that I had a group of friends that were making choices that were against ultimately who I wanted to be and who I wanted to become. And it was a really hard decision because I really loved both sets. And so anyways, it's just funny because that thought, like that cafeteria experience had like changed a course of my life. Like it was such a pivotal moment. So when I read that in her book, and everyone has cafeteria moments, but sometimes they can define us if we let them, and maybe for good and also maybe not for good, and sometimes in ways that make us feel really bad about who we are. Like if you walk in and you don't have a place to sit, you know. And the flip side of it is if you've ever been in a situation where you're sitting in the cafeteria looking at somebody walking in, are you brave enough to say, come sit with me?
Yeah,
you know?
That's a really good point.
Have that ability now, but I can't think of anything. I mean, I'm sure I have experiences of cafeteria moments throughout my life. I have no doubt.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Like, I mean, I can think of a couple. They're not noteworthy enough to even share. They're just experiences where I remember just specifically being like, I don't know what to do. I don't feel like I'm important in this room, and I don't think I belong here. Like, and you know, and the crazy thing is this happened in this last year. You know, like it happens to us as adults. And, you know, we always think to ourselves, and she even talks about in the book that we think almost that like, oh, I would never do high school again. A lot of people will say this, you know, because gosh, kids are so insecure back in high school. And, you know, we all didn't know who we were. But then you think about it and you're like, is it that we become more secure as adults, or is it that we just get better at being insecure and masking like we're fine? Because I guarantee you, like I said, all of us and everyone in the comments, I'm sure I've seen people saying that they can relate to that as adults. And so, like, I don't know, why do you think it is that, let's see, why is it that we hold on to them? And do you think it is that we are just insecure, more insecure then, or do you think we are more insecure now, generally?
We're figuring it out. That's like, I think she even says it in the book, like, it's more obvious to see when a kid is like trying to, put on this vulnerability armor, she calls it, right?
Yeah.
Just like, I love this part. She says, the kid reacting or says this, I don't care what those people think. They're so stupid. The dance is stupid. Can you call their moms and find out what they're wearing? I really hope I get to go to the dance. Like and I like feel that mentally almost, but I'm like, I can keep my cool on the outside, but like really we're all feeling that now. We've just learned behaviors to like protect ourselves, and they just, as we grow older, we've had more practice, and so it gets easier, which is terrible, but it gets easier to put that armor up and the walls up.
I know it's funny because this past week, so I work with the youth in a church group, and I have this woman that's my partner, and we had an activity where, we had an activity and the activity had ended, and everyone kind of formed their little clique groups and kind of went, and then there were a few that were kind of, off to the side by themselves. And as an adult, like, we see that within younger people, and we immediately recognize, and we're like, okay, how do we remedy this situation? But it's funny because the next day, when I was talking to this woman, we had like a little meeting, and we were just kind of discussing, like, how can we make sure everyone feels included and valued and loved and cared for and important, and how can we foster those relationships with how can we get these girls to foster that relationship and be a safe place for one another? She like just basically said, I was experiencing my teen years all over again, and it was very hard and painful for her to face. And so her shame reactors went up, and she wanted to go over to those group of girls that were kind of together and just rip them a new one, right? Like, why aren't you including those girls over there? And like, and so it was so interesting because like it was that defense came out so quickly, because it was painful to experience. And I think so it's easy to see, but and it still triggers those painful emotions and feelings inside adults just as much.
Absolutely.
But we kind of have a little bit more control in some ways, and a little bit more wisdom, not always, and hopefully a little more emotional intelligence. But that happens. Now take it and turn it to a room full of adults, and you see two women off, or a woman off to the side. Do we as quickly recognize that woman off to the side by herself as someone that needs companionship or friendship, or do we think, oh, she probably just wants to sit by herself? You know what I mean? So it's sometimes harder for adults to see that. Whereas for kids, for us looking at a kid, we're like, well, we know when we were a kid, nobody wants to be by themselves. Like, that's terrible. But do we oftentimes recognize that even adults?
Yeah, well, and because we assume that like, oh, it was left back in high school, we don't look for it as much in adults. But also I think it makes us even more ashamed when we feel it as adults, because you're like, I should be over this insecurity, or I shouldn't be doing this anymore. But it's not that you shouldn't feel it. It's that, okay, let's think of better coping mechanisms. Of course we're going to feel left out. Of course we're going to have shame triggers, probably even more than when you're in junior high, because all the experiences that have taken you to where you're at. But it just becomes about like, okay, I'm putting on this armor. I'm feeling this way, but what's a better way to do it? And we'll talk more about like how to deal with the armor that we like automatically put on when we feel shame. She talked about masks and armor being interchangeable between people often. I think this was on page 115. She says, I found certain parts of it to be interchangeable when you pry open the doors of the armory. So what do you think? Why do you think it's interchangeable among people? Like some of our shame triggers, some of the armor we wear.
I don't know.
She talked about like universal pieces. Sorry, Jan.
Oh, you're saying like why do we
Yeah.
why we all share a small array of common protection mechanisms. Our armor may be custom made, but certain parts of it are interchangeable.
Yes.
Well, I think I can't remember tons about exactly what she was referring to, but I think human nature runs deep within all of us, and there are certain eternal truths about being human that, like, we know that we all want to feel like, you know, we're all deep wired for connection and love and belonging, and so that we all kind of share. We have those needs, and so it's almost natural to have armor to protect those needs. I think that's what she's referring to, but I'm not totally positive. You can tell me if I'm off.
I mean, I don't know. It was kind of an open-ended question because I had my thought of what it could be, and I think that's a really good thought. And I just kind of remembered back when I went to like group therapy years ago, and I felt so alone. I felt like nobody could understand what I was feeling, but yet as I sat in this room with all these other grown women, you know, that we're all feeling these same vulnerabilities, and we all came from such different backgrounds, such different histories, and we had different issues that we were dealing with, but we all had similar like feelings and some similar ways, like, you know, some just the root was very relatable, and it was like, oh my gosh, she feels the same way I do. Oh my gosh, she copes the same way I do, even though we are from such different situations. And so it is really nice to see that, like, you can almost see yourself in others so that you can find comfort and like, not like, also we had a mentor, each one of us, like someone who had been through an eating disorder or whatever it was that could help us. And so it was like she understood the armor that she had and was able to help me get rid of the things that I was carrying because she understood them.
Yeah. Well, and a little bit later, she just talks about the reason she's sharing what these different like forms of armor are is because she hopes, let's see, what did she say? Like, my hope is that a peek inside the armor will help us look inside ourselves. And I think, you know, being in that group setting, talking to other people, you realize, you know, it's not, or there's a lot more commonality, you know, like between our insecurities and stuff. And that just makes what we're feeling, I don't know, it helps me when I'm like, okay, I'm not alone.
Absolutely.
Other people are feeling this, and that can help me to work through it because I can see that I'm not the only, like, I'm not crazy. I always say that to Benson, my husband, I'm always like, I feel like I'm going crazy. And he's like, you're not crazy. That's normal. Yeah. You know, like, and that's a big deal for me to be like, okay, I'm not crazy.
It normalizes the craziness almost, like,
yes,
it creates a yeah, like the feelings of not being alone, a safe space, recognizing that I'm not the only one that feels this way. Like, and when we peel back the layers and the armor, like, we're all more alike than we're different. I mean,
absolutely, 100%. We are all so much more alike than we are different. Like, you know, everybody is, because, and it all comes from the root that we have the same core desires of, you know, needs, and yeah, and I just think that's something she keeps reminding us of, is we need connection. Mm-hmm. We need love. Like, that's the root that connects everyone. You know, I want to skip to page 18. She talks, and this, in the emails I got, there were so many people that like resonated with this. And why is it vulnerable to feel joy?
This was like mind-blowing for me. I was like, yeah, this first, because like so much of what she's saying, I was like, yes, I feel the same exact way. I totally do that. But then I was also just, I don't know, I just felt like it was mind-blowing in a lot of ways because so she talks about, sorry if I'm talking too much.
No.
The, like, when you're looking at your child or a loved one and you just have that moment of where you're so happy, and then my brain at least does this where I switch and I'm like, but something could happen to them, you know, like, and it robs me of that joy. And I'm sorry, what was your question?
Why is it very vulnerable to feel joy? Yeah, you're going in the right direction.
Oh, okay. I knew I was getting there. I just needed a reminder. But it's because we're expressing, showing something that has value to us. You know, like
Yeah.
I grew up in the ghetto, and so like I have these things that I do like to protect myself, like, and my husband did not grow up in the ghetto, and he's always like, why are you doing that? Like, I triple check locked doors. Like, I always, do all these things where he's like, why? I'm like, because there's scary things out there. And so I want to protect the things that have value to me. And so, for example, like, I don't know, when you have something that brings you joy, you're almost exposing it,
Yeah.
You're like recognizing it and showing that it has value to you. And that makes it open for attack. Does that make sense? I'm not making much sense, but
no, I didn't. This was the thing that hit me the most out of all the things this time around reading this book, is I never considered experiencing joy as a form of vulnerability.
That's what I thought too. I was like, I've never thought of that.
Yeah,
ever.
That was huge. And the thing that hit me the most is that the reason we quickly jump from joy to fear is because ultimately it breaks down to, do we feel worthy enough to experience that joy? And because if we're not worthy enough, it can be taken away from us, or we don't deserve it. It can be taken away from us so quickly. So like Caitlin said, like I've had so many experiences where I'm having like a beautiful moment with my kid or my spouse or whatever. And I like with every fiber of my being, like recognize how grateful and how much I love my spouse. Like I have one of the most phenomenal men out there. And the second I start experiencing that thought process of how much I love him, I almost immediately go, he's going to get killed, or he's going to die, or something's going to happen to him, because there's no possible way that this could be my reality, right? That I got this lucky. And then I realized after reading this chapter, it's truly because of, I don't sense that I don't have a deep enough sense of worthiness that I deserve to have something like that. And that was like, what? Like, how can I allow that to rob me? So I love her antidote for it, but I'm sure we'll get there. But
yes.
Oh my gosh, it was so mind-boggling.
It was, because I was just like, wait, joy is vulnerability? And again, I've read this book before. So I was like, how is this a newsflash? I just missed this chapter. I like, there's a couple comments in here I want to read, and Prism Stirling says, it almost feels too good to be true sometimes, like your living totally isn't real, and you should be full of sadness almost. And let's see, what are some other ones? Let's see, there was a lot of good comments. Sorry, I'm trying to find them. Being joyful opens us up for extreme failure. That's PTA Sterlingite. Yeah, there was some really good ones in here. So thank you guys for all your comments.
Analog Kid, because the thing that brings us joy can also be attacked.
Yep,
true.
That's vulnerability. Isn't that like, even Caitlin, you said that, like the thing that we love the most, if that makes the fact that we love it that much, that means it's vulnerable, like it's open for attack, which is the very definition of vulnerability.
Yeah.
So of course we want to shield it and protect it and not even allow our minds to go there. I just I'm still just so shocked. I'm so shocked by this concept, because I don't want to do that. I don't ever, like in the story or in the book, she talks a ton about how people that decided, well, in order to protect myself, I'm just not going to allow myself to feel that ultimate high of feeling joy in those moments because of the fear of it taking away. But then that guy in this particular situation, that guy whose wife died, and he's like, what I would do to go back and allow myself to experience joys, because it didn't make that's what it was. It was the fact that I was afraid of losing her. And so I was afraid of feeling deep enough in order to not feel bad if something would happen to her, but it never prepared me for losing her anyway. So I just missed out on all these experiences of joy with her.
Absolutely. By the way, I want to read. Sorry. I want to read from Your Ordinary Man. It says, it makes perfect sense, Caitlin. We cherish joy so much. We fear it will take away. It will be taken away. Finding joy in something puts value in it. And when something is valuable, it's worth being taken. No, Jenny, so I loved that comment. And it is really interesting. And I love that she shared that story about that man. Because it's like, yeah, why would we think that being sad, like not valuing something in the moment would make it any less painful to lose? Because
can I read it?
Quick?
Please.
It's
really quick. Just I think
good.
it's so good. You guys have okay. On the bottom of 120, a man in his early 60s told me, I used to think the best way to go through life, oh my gosh, I'm like getting emotional, was to expect the worst. That way, if it happened, you were prepared. And if it didn't happen, you were pleasantly surprised. Then I was in a car accident and my wife was killed. Needless to say, expecting the worst didn't prepare me at all. And worse, I still grieve for all those moments we shared and that I didn't fully enjoy.
Yeah. So it's so true. And this is not a dramatic example, but I thought of a story, and I know I probably talk about stories from Dancing with the Stars a lot, just because it was such a dramatic, it was such a packed experience in my life, full of so many emotions, and I feel like I learned so much in that experience. But okay, I remember an experience of really leaning into joy on that show many times. And one of which was after Mark and I performed our final, our freestyle dance, the one where we were both conductors. I remember when we finished that dance, in my heart, I felt so strongly that we won. I knew it. I was like, I think we won. And I let myself feel that. I let myself sit in it. And I had this glorious night. They didn't announce the winners till the next day, but for a whole 24 hours, I felt like I won Dancing with the Stars because I had done my best and I let myself.
You did win it.
Thanks, Jenny. But the next night they announced that I didn't win, and it didn't hurt anymore. I was disappointed, but it's not like the fact that I felt like I won made it hurt more. Now I'll always have that beautiful memory of honestly winning Dancing with the Stars because I felt it so strongly and I let myself find so much joy in that moment. And
I love what she says here. We're trying to beat vulnerability to the punch. We don't want to be blindsided by the hurt. So it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So you were saying, yeah, go ahead.
Well, if we're going to have things that hurt us in our life, we're going to have moments that are difficult. That is the understatement of the year. But it's not going to change it. Our worrying about things, our fear of something happening, and feeling that premeditating that feeling is not going to change the feeling later. You're just adding more of that feeling earlier, which I'm like, why do I do that to myself? Why? Because it's the way our brains work, it's we're allowing that false information to become true in our heads. And so we have that emotional and physical response happen. And then it doesn't actually happen, but we had all the reaction because we were thinking about it, So
that's
if it
so
really
good.
did happen later, we would have to feel it all over again. And this is what my therapist helped me, because I literally think the older one's not so much, but my baby, I think she dies every night, and it's terrible. And I let myself, she's got to be, and I run in there, and of course she's not. And I'm like, why did I do that? It's still something I'm working through, but having that, we're if she is, I'm going to feel it later. I don't have to feel it now. Does that make
Actually, this is a perfect segue to one of our email comments from David. He is Silver Wolf 2020 on the chat, I believe. But he talks about this very same thing. He shared a really a pretty tragic story of how he lost his fiance at one point. And he talked about kind of the experience he had and how it it almost destroyed him for a time. And then he says, I guess the moral of the story is that living a life afraid of losing all that is precious to you is no way to live. A gilded cage is still a cage regardless of what it's made of. Only by flying free can a bird see the beauty that lies beyond the cage. And I thought that was so beautiful. And he said I could quote him on it, so I did.
Yeah, well, that was like eloquent.
It was
like
very
a poem.
eloquent. I know.
I love it.
But just like, because yeah, he said after losing his fiance in such a way, it made him terrified to ever open up again. And he just realized that that's no way to live. And it's so true what you said, Caitlin. It's like you're stealing joy from the present by worrying about something that may or may not ever happen, you know? And we do that all the time. That's like, it's like what is the point of worrying? That's something my therapist tells me, you know, it's just like, what's the point? Is it going to help? Like, no. Is it going to make you work harder? No. You know,
and she talks about that in here, that like it has never, like the studies have never, yeah, like the studies show that it literally does not. Well, I guess we'll get to the perfectionism and stuff, but yeah.
Also, another comment from the email was from Lauren, and she said, when those thoughts of foreboding joy come into my mind, it's so important for me at that very moment to give my anxieties to God. And she quoted Peter 5:7, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. I thought that was really beautiful, like taking the load you're wearing and you can give it to whatever your power is, whether it's like God or the universe or just like, you know, but just unload it. Allow yourself to give it over to something else because you don't have to carry it. It's heavy. And so I thought that was really, really beautiful. And let's see. Okay.
By the way, I hope this silver wolf has silver hair. Sorry.
I hope so
Side
too.
note.
Let us know in the comments.
Are you here?
Are you here, Silver Wolf?
What are you saying?
Sorry.
Okay, so along with what we're talking, wait, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, I cut you off with that really weird
No,
comment.
I like it. It's funny. It's fun. Side note, I used to want silver hair for a long, I really wanted to dye my hair silver, but then I tried on a silver wig. I look awful with silver hair. I love it when girls or guys can pull it off, but I just realized I can't. Yeah. But yet green, on the other hand,
totally going for it. Yeah,
this is killing it. Toothpaste green.
It's
right.
Minty fresh over here. That's what we've got.
I know you kind of remind me of mint chocolate chip ice cream.
You can call me that from now on. There's Silver Fox and there's mint chocolate chip.
I'll change but your name in my phone is Lizard, so I guess it still kind of goes.
I can't believe my name is still Lizard. That's what Jandy called me in college.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So good.
Anyways.
Okay, sorry. Segue, but hey, segues are fine. We like a segue every once in a while.
Like I said, squirrel.
Squirrel. Yeah. So
Silver Fox. What?
Oh boy.
Did Silver Fox comment?
No.
Oh, okay.
Someone said they saw him.
Side note: silver hair runs in my family. He says.
Wait. Oh, I do see it. So I kind of want a picture, but I guess that's not on here. It's not I don't think Twitch does.
I don't think it does photos.
No,
that's
probably a good thing.
Probably good. Yeah. So, along the same conversation, people often say that setting your hope is setting yourself up for failure. But how can hope actually prepare you for the future? Like by leaning into joy and leaning into hope, how can that actually help you? Because there is that myth, and I kind of hate it when people say that, like, oh, I don't want to hope because it'll set me up for failure. Because
don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up. I said that out loud to my mom last night. I said, well, I'm not going to get my hopes up. And I stopped myself. And then we had a conversation about this. And I was like, I'm not going to say that anymore. Because I don't believe it. Anyways, so what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, I think not necessarily specific to that question, but she goes over, she goes over the anecdote, and the first one it talks about just the simplicity of joy, they come to us in simple moments. And in my experience, the times when I do feel the most hopeful and I do feel joy are like in those simple, small moments. They're never in these extraordinary big things.
Yeah.
And everyday living that gives me hope, those small little glimmers, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, I love that. I think that's true. Allowing yourself to like really sit in those, like, or I guess just looking for the moments. One thing that I was thinking about. Oh, sorry. Go on, Caitlin.
No, you go.
Oh.
They like hearing you talk, so I want to hear.
They like hearing all this talk.
That's okay.
But so the whole idea of how like hope isn't setting you up for failure or it's actually setting you up for your future. And I thought about all the things that like hope like is such a positive emotion. Like even right now in LA, I've said multiple times, you can feel that people are getting hopeful again because the industry is opening and people are happier. And it's not like, hey, don't feel hopeful because I might not get to tour this year and I'll be sad again. Well, I'm gonna be sad whether or not I'm hopeful. So the feeling that I feel right now of hopefulness has made me so happy and energized. So it's actually going to help me when I get to that point. If they say that I can't tour, it's better that I've been like energized and happy leading up to that rather than like, and I thought of something that me and Caitlin's mission president's wife used to say all the time. She'd say, do you want to be a Tigger or an Eeyore? And like, if something bad happened to both of those characters, I think we all think that Tigger would respond or recover faster than Eeyore because Eeyore's been sitting in hopelessness and kind of a Debbie Downer all the time, where Tigger lives in hope and lives in jovialness, and so he would probably experience something bad and then he would move on faster. Also,
I was just thinking, sorry.
No, go
about
on.
how kids, you think about like young kids, and when you tell them like, or I don't know, sometimes my kids come up with things and I'm like, how could they even think that that's possible? But their hope for something is like, it like motivates them. It creates an energy for them to want to do something. Yeah. But as adults, we're like, there's no way you're going to learn to fly with those little paper wings you just made. But like, they're going to try their darndest to get it. And like, that's not a bad thing, but like,
until they jump off the roof.
Okay, don't do that. Yeah, well, they could learn. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Just kidding. But really, like, there is energy that comes from hope, whereas hopelessness is literally the opposite. And I just envision like someone full of hope, like at the door, like ready to go, and someone with hopelessness is like sitting on the couch, like, meh, not even gonna try.
Yeah, I love that you said it's energizing. Like literally when I feel hopeful, it's fueling. It helps you manifest. It helps you set goals. So it's like, let's all live in hope. Like I don't think I'll ever again say, well, I don't want to get my hopes up. Because it's like, heck yes, I'm going to get my hopes up and, hope for the best.
Yeah, it gives you purpose and meaning. I think that's like what you guys are saying. Like just for me, I'm like, yeah. Hope gives you purpose and meaning.
Mm-hmm.
PTA Sterling 123 said, I heard this a while ago. The biblical definition of hope is earnest expectation. I love that.
Yes. I know, I'm looking at the comments now. I
know. Children are the personification of hope. Yes, they are. Oh, Deacon 123. Oh, Deacon. I don't know. These names, guys. It's like hard.
Also, someone, Analog Kid 75 says, he's basically saying, I've always said for those of us that believe in God and heaven, etc., and people wonder why we believe, and I say, well, a hope that we have a reason to go through all this earthly stuff and hope that there is more beyond. It's all about hope for a better thing. And so,
nice.
And I've thought of that before where people are like, well, what if it's not true, everything you believe in and your spirituality? And I was like, well, I think it's important to follow things that make you happy and also give you, make you a better person. Because I'm like, if I got to the other side and realized it was all a lie, I really think it helped me live a hopeful and good life. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It didn't hurt you. It definitely helped you.
It didn't hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, hard-hitting question. What is the difference between happiness and joy?
happiness, I think, or joy, I think, comes from, or she connects it to something bigger than us. Like it's almost like a state of being, where happiness is usually like your circumstance can change it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see. So I thought this was a really good section. Jana, you started to take us into this. Did you want to start to talk about like is this where the antidotes come in?
Yeah. So she talks about, you know, obviously foreboding joy is such a killer of all that is good.
Yes.
So she talks about these anecdotes, and this is like something that I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta do this. I gotta do this, you know? I want to do this. And so again, the first one, should we just go through like the list, or what do you want to do?
Are you talking about 25 or page 125?
Yeah.
Yeah, just start us through the list.
Okay, so the first one talks about joy comes to us in moments, ordinary moments. We risk missing out on joy when we get too busy chasing down the extraordinary. And I think we've talked about that pretty, even in these other chapters. But so many, and this, I love Mr. Rogers. I've told you that, you guys know this. Like, I love Mr. Rogers. And this is like a huge mantra for him, is that our scarcity culture may keep us afraid of living small, ordinary lives. But when you talk to people who have survived great losses, it is clear that joy is not a constant. Without exception, all the participants who spoke to me about their losses and what they missed the most spoke about ordinary moments. And this is so true. Like when I think about the things that I would miss the most if something would ever happen to those that I love the most, it is the small and simple things. Like my spouse, I'm constantly cold, and I love to put my feet underneath him when we're lying down. Like, because my feet get so cold, and he's like a heater box. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be something that I would miss so much. It's such a small thing, but it's those ordinary moments that we experience such great joy. So taking time to appreciate and recognize how those small, ordinary moments bring us such great happiness and joy.
Yes. Caitlin, can you read the quote that I sent you? I think it totally ties into this. This is like, it's up there on the list of like some of my favorite quotes.
Okay, this is by Gordon B. Hinckley, who was the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he says, anyone who imagines that bliss is normal is going to waste a lot of time running around shouting that he's been robbed. The fact is that most putts don't drop. Oh, putts.
Golfing.
Did I read that? Yes.
Sorry.
Hold on, I got it. That's okay. The fact is that most putts don't drop. Most beef is tough. Most children grow up to be just people. Most successful marriages require a high degree of mutual toleration. Most jobs are more often dull than otherwise. Life is like an old-time rail journey. Delays, sidetracks, smoke, dust, cinders, and jolts. Interspersed only occasionally by beautiful vistas and thrilling bursts of speed. The trick is to thank the Lord for letting you have the ride.
I like
Sorry,
that
I'm bad reading.
No, you're a good reader. Are you kidding me?
Well,
I thought you were great.
I love somebody in the comments said you can be joyful and not happy about what's going on in the moment, and that's PTA Sterling Light 123. And I think it's so true, because it's interesting that we identify so much with happiness. Everyone wants to be happy, but joyful is a deeper spiritual feeling, I think. And so your circumstances could be really difficult and very, very hard, and you can still feel joy, even though it may not be a happy moment or time, you know? So I think that's true.
And it's a lot about your perspective. Sorry, it always gets loud after. It's a lot about your perspective and what you're feeling, like, rather than just like what is giving you those hormones, serotonin, and like the emotions. It's more about like, okay, the circumstance, the broader perspective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so tricky, because it's like, it's interesting because in my life, some of the most difficult circumstances and situations that I've ever been in, I couldn't say that I've experienced the most joy or most happiness. I would say, like, it's been a lot of sorrow, but I've also seen moments of I've experienced also the most joy in those moments too, because I don't know if it's because the dark is so dark that when the light is there, it's so apparent, or I'm not sure exactly why, but I've also felt carried too during some of those times. I don't know. So the joy, it's sometimes I look back in memories of that really sucked. I don't ever want to go through that again. But I learned and I grew a lot, and I was able to experience a sense of being taken care of. So that gives me a sense of joy.
That's beautiful, Jenny. I think that going on to number 2 also is kind of how we can find joy even when we're not happy. I thought this was she just like flat out be grateful for what you have. When you honor what you have, you're honoring what I've lost, is something she said. Like, don't shrink away from joy because you think maybe you don't deserve it. Like, be grateful for it, because why does it doesn't help to be like, I don't deserve this, or like they don't have it so I shouldn't have it. And you know, I've talked so much just over the years about gratitude. For anyone who like follows me on social media or something, I really feel like gratitude changed my life when I started to like make it an actual practice in my life. And I already told the story about my dad when, it's a pretty dramatic story, but have I already told the story about my dad when he was passing away? Okay.
I feel like,
well,
I know,
I'll start sharing it, and
it'll be good regardless.
Yes, it's a good reminder. So this is the most powerful experience where I kind of felt the difference between happiness and joy. And not to say that I was joyful in the moment, but I had peace. And so when my dad, he had cancer, and towards the end, you know, he couldn't really do much of anything. And that last week of his life, he couldn't even hear us. I mean, we didn't know. We thought maybe he could hear us, but he couldn't communicate. He just was kind of sleeping there. And we took shifts, you know, just being at the hospital with him, so he wouldn't be alone. And I remember when we thought he was actually going, we all came, like I called my sisters, and they all came down, and we all just sat around him holding hands. And it was my mom, my sisters, and I, and we all were like crying in silence as we were just like waiting. And then my sister Marina had the beautiful idea, like, maybe he can hear us. Let's tell stories of Dad. Let's like let him know how much we love him by sharing our favorite memories of Dad. And so we started, and before we knew it, we were laughing, and then we were crying, like, but the good kind of tears. And in that moment, I felt, sorry, I'm going to get emotional, but I just felt so strongly. I was so grateful for what I had. So much so that even though I was devastated at what I was losing, like my dad, it became more of a powerful feeling of gratitude for like this amazing man that raised me. And I like didn't feel joy, but I felt like internal, like I was going to be okay kind of joy. And I think that's the biggest time when I was like, recognize the distinction between the two.
Lindsay, the other thing too that I think is, I think right now we live in a culture where people are afraid to be grateful for what they have in fear of offending people that don't have it. And I just love, don't shrink away from the joy of your child because I've lost mine. Don't take what you have for granted, celebrate it. Don't apologize for what you have. Be grateful for it and share your gratitude with others. Are your parents healthy? Be thrilled. Let them know how much they mean to you. When you honor what you have, you already read this part, but when you honor what you have, you're honoring what I've lost. And just like you, like practicing gratitude has totally shifted my mindset. And it is like a daily practice, and you have to actually be proactive at it because it's so easy to not.
How are ways that you practice gratitude?
Yeah, so I read this book, oh gosh, A Thousand Gifts. It's a phenomenal read, and then it's phenomenal. Anyway, so she talks a lot about eucharisteo, which is a form of gratitude. And so for me, I do it in a couple of ways. One is I have like the basic gratitude journal where I write down things, but one of the biggest ways that I do it is when I'm experiencing joy, I stop and say it out loud. Like to my kids, like, oh my gosh, do you guys feel how happy and wonderful it feels right now? Aren't you? Like, and I draw attention to it. And I've noticed when I do that, like those moments become more frequent. Or like, and like again, they're in those simple moments. But what I was gonna say is one thing that I realized too with this whole be grateful for what you have. We never have to be ashamed for what we have. Like we don't ever have to feel ashamed, because the whole purpose, at least in my thought process, is any gifts that I have, I need to use them. Anything that I have, I need to use them to bless other people, right? Like that's how I feel. But by me being grateful for the things that I have, I can be so joyful and grateful for the things that other people have as well. So like when we think about empathy, we oftentimes think about it sitting in sorrow with people and in their hard places, but it's also sitting in their joy too. Like we've talked about that with Huga, like where in Denmark they teach the children, like if you guys don't have any issues going on, let's practice joy or Huga together and be just grateful for all the good things we have in life together. And that creates community and connection. So be grateful for what your friends have. Be grateful, like experience joy with them. Think about all the things that eliminates it, entitlement. It eliminates jealousness, being jealous, or envying other people. When we're joyful for what other people have too, because we're truly joyful for what we have and grateful for what we have, it changes us.
It's so cool because it's the same thing we talked about last week so much with like like when we shame other people, it's because we're feeling that about ourselves. And this is just the opposite. Like when we feel joy in ourselves and when we feel gratitude, it helps us feel that for other people. So I think I've never thought about it like that. So I really like that a lot. Thank you, Janny. And then I just
wanted to say real quick, I'm grateful for you sharing that story about your dad and your experience, because I think a lot of times we get like, I shouldn't be feeling this right now, like I shouldn't allow myself to feel joy, like Danny said, because someone else is feeling pain, I shouldn't feel joy. And that's not right either. But also like, it's okay to feel complicated feelings. It's okay to feel, like joy, even in a sorrowful situation. And like the way that Brene was able to come up with these anecdotes that we're reading is she talked to people who've gone through difficult things and they were willing to share their experiences, and that gave her the capacity to share these things with us. And I just think there's so much power in sharing those hard things with people so that people can learn that it's okay. And sharing your story is important so that other people can learn empathy and learn, that it's okay to feel certain things. And I don't know, that didn't make much sense.
No, of course it made sense. It totally did. And I just also want to say on that same line, thank you to everybody in the chat. I saw so many people sharing their stories. Like I lost my grandma, someone was saying they lost their best friend, and just your experience in that. So, thank you everyone for sharing all your thoughts, because I know those are hard things to like talk about. And I also love that you said life is full of complicated and oftentimes conflicting emotions, and sometimes we feel guilty for what we feel. And I think one of the kindest things that anyone ever says to me is like, because like you were saying, Caitlin, when you're like, am I crazy, or am I a bad person because I feel this, or am I, because we're feeling these conflicting emotions. It's so kind when people say you're not a bad person, you're human, or you're not crazy, you're human. Like, because that is what life is full of, is conflicting emotions where we feel like we shouldn't feel one way and we shame ourselves for it, but just realizing like, no, we're all just human. Give yourself some grace.
And I love how she talks about over identifying with thoughts and feelings. Like that's so true. Like we all, like, you have a bad day and you try to over identify with that bad day and like that's who you are. It's like, no, it's a thought or it's a feeling.
Yeah, I
we
had a
have a
bad
million
day,
of them.
so yeah, so I'm a bad person because my day was bad. It didn't go how I wanted it to, or which I guess goes into. Did we go through all of it?
Number 3.
Yeah, what's number 3?
Don't squander joy. We can't prepare for tragedy and loss. When we turn every opportunity to feel joy into a test drive for despair, we actually diminish our resilience. Every time we allow ourselves to lean into joy and give into those moments, we build resilience and we cultivate hope.
Ooh, that's like what I guess I jumped the gun on that conversation. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I knew it was somewhere and I put it in the wrong place.
I love it.
But it's so good. I think that was one of my favorite things that I got out of this chapter was like that hope is an arsenal. It's like your reserve for the future. Okay, I want to take just a slight moment, everybody, to stretch. We still have more to discuss, but everybody stretch. I also want to call out some of my peeps and thank them. Okay.
New people subscribing.
New subscribers. Okay, let me see. Where are we starting here? Ooh, we got one today.
Cereal.
Okay, so new subscribers. We got R. Scott. We've got Alone in the Corner. You're not alone anymore. You're with us. We've got Coyote Killa. We've got British Benji. Thanks so much for your 100 bits. We got Nanas Nonsense for subscribing. Thank you so much. Melinak 161. It's Baby Wise. Let's see. Yeu. I've seen you in a lot of the comments and on the Discord. Thank you for all your participation, Yeu. Not just by subscribing, but also just being such a prevalent part of
here
this
weekly,
group.
I think.
Yeah, I recognize that name like quite a bit.
Someone's birthday. British Benji.
Wait, woo! British Benji, which is one of our subscribers. It's your birthday? Happy birthday.
Or unless somebody's tricking us and like, you know how like at a restaurant you'd be like, oh, it's my birthday, give me the treat.
I want the cake. Well, everybody wish Benji a happy birthday. Oh, I see so many notes of happy birthday. Okay, we got Sterlingite AS subscribing. Thank you so much. Red Jedi subscribing. Thank you. We got a lot. Don't worry, I'm getting through it. I feel like I gotta.
You're doing it.
I gotta announce everybody and thank everybody.
Wait.
Jandy
now just hit 2 million streams, someone said.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Lose You Now hit 2 million streams. That's very cool.
Wow.
I'm guessing on Spotify. That's great.
I don't know.
By the way, fun little tidbit for you. You heard it here first. No one else knows, but a acoustic version is coming out of that song. And it's really beautiful.
Oh man,
I love it. It's like got slight orchestration in the background. It's so pretty. So, a music video and that song will be coming out in a few weeks. And then next week I am releasing a fun project. It's my secret project that I can't tell you about.
Oh, it's next week?
Yeah, it was a very rushed project. Like they came to me and they're like, "Can you do this?" And I was like, "Yeah." By when?
Do we know
like,
this one?
Nope.
Or no? Oh,
it's even secret to us.
I'll tell you guys later.
Okay.
We actually filmed it. Yes, we filmed it 2 days ago, and I've been feverishly editing. But I took off today of editing so I could prepare for this book club. So, anyways, okay, I will continue. Jaden Nen 1 for subscribing for 4 months. Thank you so much.
Whoa.
Nice. Germanico subscribing for 1 month. Thank you very much. Let's see. Coop Dog 50 subscribed for the 5-month tier, and oh my goodness, this person's been subscribed for the last 5 months already. So thank you so much. MK Freak 22 subscribed for the 3-month at tier 2. Red Jedi is cheering with 100 bits. Thank you. SM
Biddies. That's what Benson told me to call him. He said, "Call them biddies."
What are biddies?
What are biddies?
Bits. I don't know. It's
Benson,
like the lingo.
What's a biddy?
I know.
Tell me in the chat, guys.
I know. We're learning, guys.
Yeah, we're new at this. I see someone's asking, what is this subscribing thing? So subscription, for anybody who's wondering why I'm calling out all these, subscriptions allow you to have these very specific little emojis that you can put in the chat. So you see all these little Lindsey emojis that people are putting in there. You get access to those. You also get access to a subscriber only section of the Discord, and I go on there multiple times a week and I comment and chat with the people on there. And it's nice because there's not a ton of people, so I get to like chat with everybody. And then yeah, all the emojis are coming out. Woo woo!
There they are.
There. Raise your hands up with your emojis.
Little tiny Stirlings.
So many of them.
So many.
So
wait, I gotta see some of these. It's like
also, I want to share with you guys something really cool that I can't believe I haven't shared yet. But so by subscribing, it's a paid subscription. So you're paying basically me to be a subscriber. However, I am donating all the money that I get through my Twitch to go to the Upside Fund, which is a fund that I it's a charity fund that I give back to our fan community, people that are like going through medical, like mostly people who are going through medical situations who can't pay their bills, is where I like to focus. But sometimes I get other situations that I donate the money to as well. But thus far I've been funding it myself, but then fans also have started to donate some here and there. So this is basically a way that you not only get to subscribe to what we're doing, but also you're helping each other, because all the money...
is this your fund, Lindsay?
Yes, it's my fund.
Oh, I remember I asked you on Marco Polo, but I gotta help you with this.
I know, Janny.
Let's get rocking.
Janny is the
no, you guys are donating. So
yes.
Subscribe so you can donate and help people and get the little...
And yeah, it's all about the pictures though.
Yeah. I mean, donating's great, helping people, but I get to put a little tiny Lindsay on here.
Playing violins, they're holding hearts. It's all kinds of fun.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, and I will say, thank you so much to everybody who's subscribing. I've gotten the sweetest stories back from people of like what it's meant to their families. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I will get emotional. But it's something that I feel like has brought our fan community even more together as you guys have helped, and we've got to help each other in this. So anyways.
That's so cool, Lindsay. I didn't know that. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, one year actually Caitlin helped me go through thousands of emails. It was the first year I did it, and I didn't even have it set up as a 501c3 or anything. I think I got an email from a fan that really hit my heart, and I was like, there are so many people out there that are hurting. I need to help. So I just decided I was going to donate like that year $200,000 to help like different fans that were in need. And I got thousands of emails, and I was answering them all by myself. And Caitlin reached out and was like, Lindsay,
let me help you.
Feeling you probably need help. And I was like, I do. And we spent days going through all these emails. So anyways, thank you, Caitlin.
Someone just said, can we get a Luna emoji? I think that needs to be on
that would be adorable.
The docket.
Yes, we can get a Luna emoji. I will put that on the docket. Thank you very much. Whose idea was that? That's a great idea.
Let's see.
I hope
Deacon.
the secret project is the Luna emoji.
They're like, that would just make my life.
Deacon.
Okay, let me read through the rest of these subscriptions. I think so many of you are subscribing. Thank you so much. SMM
or
Houndy,
resubscribing.
Raven 5366, Sparky 458, Miss Elenos. Oh,
Miscellaneous. There you are.
That's
our
Caitlin's brother-in-law, right?
Yeah.
Miscellaneous, Dragon Stray, Dark Soul, yes, Dark Soul 5768, who donated 10 tier 1 community subs. We've got Squiggles the Duck. I like that name.
Lindsay, someone said, can other streamers help raise money for the Upside Fund on their own streams?
They totally can.
Yes. If you want to do that, write me to the book club email. Or if you know somebody that wants to do that, have them contact me through the book club email. It's sterlingsbookclub@gmail.com. So yeah, also you guys keep hearing me talk about so-and-so wrote this into the email. So if you want to send your thoughts into the email, or if you want to raise money for the Upside Fund through streaming, sterlingsbookclub@gmail. Oh, there it is. Lancey Fish put it in the comments. Thank you, Lindsay. Okay. Okay, we're almost to the top. Rise Cozy subscribe for the 1 month tier. Francis Sun Photo cheered 100 biddies. Obscure Mario subscribed. Nana's Nonsense, that's a good one. Gifted one tier subscription to Prism Sterling Eye. That's amazing. Prism Sterling Eye, I feel like we read a lot of your comments in the chat, so thank you so much. Thank you all of your comments in the chat. Let's see, and then I think MCR Music 3 gave out 5 subs. Thank you so much. Bad Llama cheered 100 biddies, and I think that takes us to
Happy birthday, Obscuro Mario.
Obscuro Mario. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yay.
Today's a good day.
Thanks for spending your birthday with us.
To you.
Whoa.
Oh, it has to get a little operatic.
Okay, all right, Caitlin.
They want to hear you sing. That's what they're saying. I'm like, well, you can get me instead.
Happy birthday.
You know what'd be funny? I saw somebody say is your persona. I can't think of her name.
Oh, Felba.
Is she gonna be on the Discord? You should have Felba join us.
Oh, we should.
That would
We
be
should have
amazing.
Felba join 1 week.
Oh, that would
Felba's
be
been quiet. She took quarantine real hard.
Yeah, she needs to come back out.
Yeah, well, she doesn't know what to do since she can't go and bother people in public and, like, you know.
That's all she knows how to do.
Yeah, it's like some people were sad
Yeah.
because they couldn't do live performances. Felba was sad because she couldn't throw CDs in people's shopping carts anymore, you know. It was never appropriate, but she did it anyway.
People would not appreciate
No.
Felba.
Actually, you know, it's funny, for my Christmas special, I ran out of time. I was going to do, Felba was going to do a bit. She wasn't.
Wait, you're Felba?
No, Felba ran out of time. And she was going to go to Target and be safely from 6 feet apart trying to give out the album. Like throwing it on a string over an aisle and lowering it down for people. Like I had a list of ideas. Probably.
I mean, Felba gets arrested.
Yes. Wait, everybody's commenting Allie. Where's Allie? I see people being like, Allie?
Oh, maybe we missed something.
I know, I missed
Or maybe
something.
they're sometimes people talk to each other.
Somebody says she's not here.
Oh, she's not here. All
Allie
right.
for Felba?
Oh, Allie, sometimes she's dressed up as Felba before, and she did a really good
hilarious.
job. I mean, I will say Allie, when she comes to shows, is usually dressed up in an amazing costume that she made herself, and they're like costumes I've worn in videos, and she always looks so good. So yeah,
She
awesome.
makes them herself.
she makes them herself. Like one time, she even made the dress I wore on the Christmas tour. It started as a black dress, and then it was a tearaway that turned into this huge white dress. She made one of those.
Wow.
It's like that took us like a while to figure out, and she did it herself. So, anyways,
Nice.
props to Allie.
Woo woo.
Okay, I say we dive back into the book.
I know.
So,
And if we don't get through it, we can.
yeah, if we don't get through them, you know, I would like to talk about perfectionism, though.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's go there. Okay, so how can perfectionism hurt us?
It's the worst, man. It's the worst.
It is. We could just talk through some of these bullet points. Like, is there any that you guys particularly related to of the bullet points about perfectionism?
One thing I love about Brene Brown is she talks about what things are not
Yes.
before getting to what they are, because sometimes it is really hard to identify something, and then when you like lay it out like that, it's like so like the first ones that talk about all the same things of what perfectionism is not.
Yes.
Like it's not the same thing as striving for excellence.
That was
It's not.
probably one of my favorite ones. Perfectionism is not striving for excellence.
Yep. I like that one too. I start all of these and then the other one is perfectionism is not self-improvement. So I like this. I am what I accomplish and how well I accomplish it. Please perform perfect. It's so funny because I was like, oh, that was like totally something that I could identify with.
Yeah.
But then but then the next sentence is healthy striving is self-focused. How can I improve? Which is also me. So like in the same two sentences of opposite things, I'm like, I can identify with both of those. So you can see how they can become conflicting.
Yeah. Also, I think that it's interesting that perfectionism, like I always kind of used to think of it as if it was me striving to be my best self, as if it was self-improvement and all these things. But she's basically saying that perfectionism is about the outward appearance. It's about what others see. Like I have to be perfect because others, I want them to perceive me as flawless. Where it's not about internal betterment. Like sometimes will actually be a detriment to ourselves in order to appear that we are perfect. So it's almost it does the opposite. It can be corrosive in that way.
Yeah, I think that's the very definition. It is corrosive and it is the opposite. It never benefits us because it's not attainable. It's like we talked about that whole thing of like, if you ever are striving to come across as perfect and in order to seek approval from other people, you're going to forever be disappointed no matter what. Like, because it's not an attainable thing. It's like you're going to forever sit in the place of emptiness.
Well, and you're always going to be in that place of not good enough. The thing that she says, like, that is like this universal thing that all of us feel in some way, shape, or form. And it probably comes from perfectionism because you will never be perfect. No one will.
It's not attainable. I liked it too. It's not the key to success. That was so important because again, we think about, like, you think, oh, someone that's perfect, they're probably super successful. But this is saying, no, it actually is, perfectionism actually prevents people. It kills creativity. It kills motivation. It kills all those things.
Right. Well, because she says you can't get into the arena and go into healthy competition if you're too afraid of like falling down. Like perfectionism, you can't face the fact that you might get defeated in there. You can't face that I might not make it, which is part of the vulnerability of going for your dreams, going after the things you want, the knowledge that I might not make it, you know? And if you are stuck in perfectionism, you will not go in. You will not try because you might fall and you can't, you know. And if, also, I thought it was interesting. She talks about like, because you're so focused on being perfect and not making mistakes and not beating people's expectation, it makes us, pretty critical of other people. And that's where we get into like blaming a lot, because if you feel this crazy need to be perfect, you cannot take the blame on yourself. And that's why people are so quick to like blame others, because you know, it becomes like, who wants to be around that person that can't own what they've done, and they like almost for their own self they have to blame someone else.
Yeah, they can't take positive criticism or like anything like that would motivate them for self-improvement. Like it would fall really hard on them, so they can't do it.
Yes.
I like that phrase, practice makes perfect, like is so frustrating. And I have a friend who uses the phrase with her kids that practice makes progress. And like, you know, making the choice to get into the arena and put something into practice and like do it, it's not going to have like an end goal. Like you're not going to get to the point where you're like, and you're perfect. You know, there's going to be progress if you put in the effort and practice. It's not going to be like you can't ever reach that perfection, like you said.
Yeah. And I liked Natalia. She commented in the email. She said, the more we try to be perfect, the more we will be imperfect. And I was like, that's probably pretty true. You know, I had somewhere in here, she says, on page 131, she says, we need to change from what will people think to I am enough, because perfectionism is what will people think. And true, like practicing, you know, for progress, like Caitlin said, that's the idea that like I'm enough. And I had an experience, it was probably like 2 years ago, where I was on tour and I just was starting to feel so much like I was messing up. I just felt like I wasn't giving the show I was supposed to, and I wasn't giving a show that was good enough. And like I would walk out onto stage more and more afraid every night, because I was like, people paid money for these tickets, and I just felt like I wasn't what they expected. And I was so afraid of what other people thought in that audience and letting them down. And, you know, they're going to walk away being like, Lindsey Stirling sucks, you know, that, you know, that, and I literally was walking onto stage every night, just being like, you can do this, you can do this. But it was full of fear that I was stepping onto the stage every night. And I talked to my therapist about it, and she said, you need to stop that mindset. You can't walk onto stage with fear. It will just like debilitate you. She said, you need to walk on that stage knowing that you have a gift and you're giving a gift. Every time you go out there to perform, you're giving a gift. Why did people come? And she reframed just the mindset from what will people think to like, I am enough. And we all have gifts. We all think so much to give. And when we stay in a place of fear, like it steals us or it robs us of the I am enough feeling, and it makes it so that we can't share with other people. And, you know, and most of it comes from a place of like, I don't think anyone was actually thinking those thoughts about me. Right. I made them up in my own mind, and yet they were so real to me because of perfectionism. And I remember every time after that, when I would like make a little mistake or I'd play a note out of tune, I remember I would literally in my head, before I went into like a spiral of like, oh, I have to do better. Oh no, I messed up again. Like, I would in my head be like, I'm giving a gift. I will never be perfect. I am here to do my best. I prepared. I'm giving a gift. And it really helped me.
Well, it's like in the book she talks about, think of all the things that people, like the books that haven't been published that are sitting on their computers, and the art pieces that have never been created, and the classes that have never been taught because they're too afraid. Like, it's so sad when you think about it like that. But people that are willing to put out a book that might not be perfect, but it gets published and it helps thousands of people, it's so much better than a book that sat on her computer and never got published. Or same with like an art piece that might change the life of somebody, or a song that might be heard and made someone feel valued and loved and understood. Like if that never was released or never given to the world, that person's life never maybe have been changed, right? And
yeah,
I can relate a lot to a lot of this because I think for me, I'm somebody that I purposely keep things small because, and we talked about this last time, out of fear of like the reaction of other people. Like I have never taken certain things to the next level because I can control, when they're smaller, I can control those interactions with other people. It's so funny. Somebody's calling me. I can control the reactions of the people that I choose to allow. Not control. I can't control anybody's reactions, but I know that they love me and that they're going to be nice to me, even if it flops. But then you keep it small, and then you might, you know, maybe you're not reaching the people that really need to hear it, or whatever. I get this.
Yeah, I think it's such a universal feeling. You know, and I also like that in regards to perfectionism. I wish Whitney was here because I feel like she talks about, oh, by the way, 2 of our members couldn't come today. I don't know if you noticed that, but we miss Whitney and Vivian.
Yes.
They're just 3.
If you didn't notice, 2 missing people.
When they texted that they couldn't be here, I was like, Jenny and Caitlin better come, or I'm just gonna be like, we're just gonna read it.
Oh my gosh. Well, she kind of goes into this a little bit too, like what you're saying, Jenny, but I love that she said also like having that party like getting takeout for a dinner party rather than, you know, having this immaculate party that you don't actually have.
Never have.
Yeah, that you'll never have is, and I thought about that in a kind of a similar way, like when we don't reach out to someone because we don't, we think that we're not going to be able to do it the way that they need it, or when we like stop ourselves from even helping someone in any way because we're worried we're either going to like do it wrong, or what's that thing you always say, Jenny, about the intentions?
Yeah,
you know, like
say, good intentions are not enough. That's like a huge phrase right now, and I say I would rather have somebody try with good intentions than not try at all.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You have to do your best, because like I had a friend who had a tragedy happen in their life, and I think even you've said this, Janny, and maybe I'm even thinking about you, like when people didn't reach out to you because they didn't know what to say, like it hurt, you know, and you don't, just because you can't say the perfect thing, and maybe even just being conscious of that and the way that you express that to them, because you don't want to say like something hurtful, obviously, if you can avoid that, but saying like, I don't know what to say, but I know you need to be reached out to, or I need to create this space where like I can invite someone. Like my mom is so sweet. She like really wants to be the person to have like parties and invite people over, but she has a hard time entertaining. But like she makes an effort and tries to make like, and I know it's really hard for her to like invite people over or do whatever, and it doesn't have to look the same for everyone, but when there's people who need invitations, or there's people who are sad, or people who are experiencing things, like it's worth not being perfect so that you can create places for people to interact and create those connections. And
well, even just yesterday, I had this experience with a lady that I know, and I'm getting to know her better, but I don't know her super well. But she was on my mind literally all day. And I had numerous times throughout the day where I thought, just text her. Like, I didn't even know what to text her, or like what to say, or because I didn't have anything in specific to say, but I'm like, I just kept having this feeling to text her, and I didn't. And then late last night, I was sitting on the couch as I was like winding down my day, and she texted me a quote, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad you texted me. I have been thinking about you all day today. And I kept thinking, just reach out to her, just reach out to her. I'm so glad you texted me. And she responded back to me. She said, basically, oh, that's so interesting, because today has, and I feel terrible, but today has been so hard on me. And I just kept having a feeling to text you. And I'm like kicking myself, you know, obviously after that, thinking like I didn't reach out because I didn't really know. But sometimes it's like even just reaching out, and I do this occasionally where I'll reach out and just say like, post check. Like I've said that to a few friends, like, I don't know what to say, but I'm just checking in on you, want to know.
Yeah.
But I've never regretted doing that. And at times it's like this situation where I haven't done it because I'm like maybe a little bit afraid, or I don't know what to say, or like, and you're like, why didn't I just do it? Like, what was you know, the downside of doing such a thing?
I think that's such a good point, and I didn't really even think of like this side of it, you know, the fact that, and I can just think of times, I can't even remember what I was going through, but I remember there was a day when I was going through something really hard. I was having a really hard day, and I got several texts from people that I hadn't heard from in a long time, and what that meant to me. And you know, so it's like when you're on the other side of it and you need it, and somebody else follows that little intuition, and like they didn't say anything specific, they probably didn't know what to say either. And from that experience, like the way they texted me, it's kind of now the way that I'll approach. If I feel like I should text someone, I usually just say, hey, you popped into my mind and I just wanted to say hi, you know, like, or I'll like say something I love about them. You know, I just remembered the time that this happened. I don't know. I think that, you know, only because somebody reached out to me in a moment like that, it taught me how I could better try to reach out to other people.
And
go ahead, Caitlin.
Well, just this idea of perfectionism robs us of experiences, but it can, in this situation, rob us of reaching out to someone else. It can rob other people of getting what they need, you know?
Yeah, just being afraid of saying, like you guys said, the wrong thing. I guarantee, and again, this is just from personal experience, like when I had my first baby, oh my gosh, I bet this is my kids that just won't stop calling.
Do you need to answer it? You can stop.
No, they're totally fine. Their dad's in there. Jesse's in there. They're just, I don't know why they're calling. But anyways, like when Abigail was born, and it was like so hard, and I had numerous people say, I didn't want to bug you. But it was like people went cold silent because they didn't want to bug me. I would have way rather had a million texts that I couldn't respond to, knowing that people were there. And so even just giving permission, like I've even, like if you've ever been in a situation like that, like I don't, like Caitlin said, I don't know what to say, or I just want you to know that I'm thinking of you, or even just saying, giving them permission, you do not need to respond to me. Like you don't need to.
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
Also, I think that perfectionism, not only does it stop us from sometimes like reaching out and connecting with other people, it stops us from so much. Like, I know there's been many times I'm like, I can't get my full workout in, so I'm just not gonna work out. Like, what's the logic in that? Like, no, like, do the work, like, doing a little
10 minutes
workout
is better than no minutes.
Getting my blood flowing for 10 minutes is gonna be way more effective than just throwing in the towel. Like, so many things are like, Whitney, I feel like has taught, that's why I was like, I wish Whitney was here. Cause I love when she talks about this, how she's like, I make one mistake whenever I've got a goal. And all of a sudden I'm like, well, I made a mistake. So I might as well just go all in right now. It's like, oh no, we don't have to be perfect at our goals because otherwise we'll never progress.
Right.
And I'm a big believer in showing up. Like, I really am just such a big believer that sometimes the hardest thing to do is just start a process, but just come and keep showing up. And so I'm a big believer, like, whether it's like whatever goal it is, like, that's enough sometimes.
And honestly, don't you guys, sorry, Caitlin, don't you notice too, like when you do show up, if it's at 10 minutes, oftentimes you go, even though you didn't want to, you go 20, or like you show up in a like, it's that trickle effect, right? That so often, it allows for more.
And it creates a habit.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, I have a friend who, when she has a goal, because she is a perfectionist and she's learned about it, she will break it from the beginning. Like if she's like, I'm going to do this every day for the next year, the first day she will not do it, so that she's already broken that. And then she can just move past it, and be like, I don't have to be perfect, but I don't give her capacity for the future to give herself grace.
That's that's interesting. I like that. So any perfectionists out there, that's a tip from a pro. Okay. Caitlin, you sent us a text and you circled the perfectionism you circled these like underlined things on page 135. I'm sorry, I underlined them. They're not underlined in the book.
I underlined them too.
But is there like, why did you send us those?
Well, I can just read them real quick. And it was, I don't remember who this lady was. She's a writer. Anyways, Brene went and interviewed a bunch of like people she felt were like extraordinary people for whatever different reason, and asked them the question about like, what's your process for overcoming perfectionism or something to that extent, right? Or how do you face it when it comes up? And vulnerability. Yeah. And perfectionism. Yeah. And this lady has some mantras about managing her perfection. And one is quick and dirty wins the race. And then perfection is the enemy of done. And good enough is really effing good. And I love that, especially those last two, because perfection is the enemy of done. It's just like what we're talking about, like with Whitney, like you won't even, for me, if I know I can't do it, I won't even start. So it's like, it's the opposite of getting something done. And then good enough is really effing good. Is like, I just need to put that somewhere in my house because like, I want my kids to know that, like, and I want, like, it doesn't have to be perfect, and doing good enough is all that we are asked to do as human beings. Like, you don't have to be perfect at everything, and good enough is like, yeah, you can't be like, and I don't know. I love it that it's so good. It's just good enough is like,
it's awesome.
It's awesome.
It's so good. I like how she says perfectionism crushes creativity, which is why one of the most effective ways to start recovering from perfectionism is to start creating. I love that. We're meant to create.
We are.
And it looks different for everyone. Like, it's so beautiful when you think about that. Like, we are meant to create, and it looks so unique. And so I think that should be a challenge. Everyone should try to create something this week, whatever it is.
Yes, I love that. That's a great challenge. And, just learn to be kind to yourself in the process.
Yeah.
I feel
it just reminds me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel like that's my ongoing battle. Whenever I write a song, I'm always like trying to just be kind to myself and let myself know that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to write a hit every day. Every session doesn't have to be amazing, because it's not going to be. And so the creativity can be so self-judgmental in the process. So that's a great challenge, and be kind to yourself as you do it. Sorry, Caitlin, what were you going to say?
No, have you guys ever been to one of those paint nights, or like, where you the teachers at the front and teaches you like something super basic, but like anytime I see a picture of someone holding their painting, I'm always like, wow, they're like an artist, you know, they're always so good. But I went to one, I'm like the least crafty person in the world. So when you say like create something, I'm like, I'm
Really?
so bad at like arts and crafts, like painting and stuff like that.
I don't know if I
have
believe
my,
you.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, for some reason I feel like
Anytime we do
great.
something.
Have you seen my stick figure?
Janny though.
We believe.
I believe
oh my gosh, we
Janny.
need to play that.
I believe Janny.
Oh my gosh. I'm just not artistic, I guess what I'm saying. But
You are artistic,
and-
just not in maybe that way. Because you're definitely artistic.
I was
Like
gonna
your
say,
pictures
even
on
this-
your little lamp.
Yes, I was gonna say also you have an artist eye because the stuff that you are putting on, you know, and selling on little lambs, anyways, they're so cool. I'm like, you have a good eye. So anyways, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay.
Anyways.
Thank you for uplifting me. Okay, but I went to this paint night and we were painting pumpkins. That's a side note. I love pumpkins, and so when I saw that was it, I was like, I'm going. But we all were at our own little canvases, and you know, I could see a lot of other people painting, and we were just doing basic strokes, nothing crazy. But like I looked at mine and was like, this does not look right. Like it looks so terrible. And I'd look around and everyone else's were so good. I'm like, what? We did the same thing, but mine was like, they was all wrong. I kept thinking. And the teacher was like, oh, take a break, you know, walk around. And I was looking around at everyone else's and I thought they all just looked good. But then I heard people saying like, oh, look at this one. And they looked at mine and they thought mine looked good. And I was like, wait, what? Mine doesn't look good. And then I heard them sit at theirs and saying like, oh, I messed this up, or asking for the teacher's help. And it was just like, we were just viewing it in our own way, like our perfectionism. But like, I looked around and everyone's was different, but they all looked really good. Like,
It's so funny. Yeah.
And it just, I don't know, like, and we are all creating things. They weren't that hard, but like everybody had a unique version of what was happening, and they really all did look good. Like if you took a step back and stopped worrying about, you know, the little squiggle here and there, like they all worked out fine. And our perfectionism, my perfectionism was what was getting in the way, but in reality it looked great. It looked fine.
Well, and I think one of the things too that's like so beautiful about creating is that when we say creating, oftentimes people think of like art and talent, like that's like show talents or whatever. But creating can mean so many things. Like I would definitely say my way I create is through curriculum and program development, which like, you know what I mean? But but I use that to create. Like that's where my creativity comes out and I feel alive when I create. Whereas other people, it's like through interior design, or other people, it's through creating environments where people can come together and have a really like party planning where they have a really good experience together. Like creating can look like so many different things. It can look like landscape, right? Like it can look like a flower bed, a garden. It can look like photography or a little shop where you're shopping. It can look like clothing, like, you know, like I have a friend that's a phenomenal seamstress, and she creates, she can look at you and say like, oh, your silhouette will look beautiful in these shapes. Like that's creating. So I think it's like so awesome that creating and creativity, like we all can create. It just looks so different in everyone.
Yeah.
What that looks like.
How about everyone in the chat, write down one thing you're good at creating and let's see.
Yeah.
I want to see what everyone. I saw some photography
Photography
sushi,
and video.
baking sushi,
We got a violinist, Anna Ver 07.
video,
Francis, son of photo, is photography and video.
cookies. We can be friends.
Awesome.
Software.
Roger.
Angus MM says software.
Oh, there's Allie.
Allie.
Cosplay.
Hey, Allie. I don't know if you were here earlier. We were talking about you. Allie says cosplay. That is definitely a way of creating. You're so creative.
Singing, welding. Ooh.
Welding.
Lasers.
Ooh.
Wait. Sorry.
Calligraphy.
Says lasers. I just did a project with lasers the other day for the first time. Mind blown. Do you do those kind of lasers? Like show lasers?
Oh, no, Gib. And no, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I'm not good at anything.
Oh, hey.
Think harder. Maybe you're a really good napper. That's a skill I don't have. I wish I had.
Creating
No.
a space of napping, public speaking,
Oh, that's a
scientific
good one.
discoveries.
Yeah,
Ooh.
creating scientific discoveries from
Oh my
Margo.
gosh, cook and bake. I
Drawing.
need to in my life.
PTA Sterling, I love napping.
Yay!
Me too. Why does sleeping during the day feel so much better than sleeping at night?
I actually wrote this down when I was in high school in my Wonder book because I was so curious about that. And you drool more when you sleep during the day.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave you hanging on that one. I'm going to support you.
Woodworking.
It's the best. Host and
Aqua.
support streams like Lindsay, Red Jedi. Yes, I want to thank all of our moderators and all the people commenting. By commenting and sharing your thoughts, you're creating ideas, you're creating thoughts. So, boom.
We
I like
need to
it.
be here.
I learned the art of napping in college. Me too. Power napping. I got 5 minutes I can nap on Thursday. I remember saying that to myself on a Monday.
I took a flexibility class in college, and we had a 15-minute nap during our class.
Really?
It was amazing.
It was the best class ever. Anyways.
Oh, that is amazing.
Thank you for sharing your talents.
Yes.
My cat food.
And it could be too. It really could be like creating joy in other people. Like I had a really cute friend in high school that would always say, like, I don't have any talents. And I was like, you light up the room the second you enter it. That is creation. That is creating an environment that others feel warm and welcome in. So everyone has the ability to create. And if you don't, that's something to explore inside yourself. Like, what can I do to create? It'll bring you joy because we're all meant to do it. I swear. It's just like part of who we are.
Yes.
Love it.
No, for sure. I do think that joy is brought, like, it's kind of one of our other basic human needs. Like we were, because think about it, we were created by creation. Like someone birthed us as a baby. They created us in their bodies. And so whether it is like the motherhood thing that kind of hits you in your 30s, bug, or whether it's, like we all crave the ability to like make something because that's how we were made through creation. I'm not going to go into the birds and the bees because that's something you can ask your parents about.
You talk to your mom and dad.
I also like a comment that someone put in the email. This was from Lauren, and this is going back to the comment about joy, but she says, another way to feel joy is making others feel seen in the midst of millions of people. Like millions of people on this planet. And if you have the ability to like Janny said, I thought her comment tied so nicely into that because you are creating a moment for one person who feels seen out of the billions of people on this planet.
And I think that is one of the most beautiful talents.
It is. Okay, I don't want to go too much longer because everybody's been so like awesome. I don't want to lose all that energy. So there's a couple things we could talk about. We could talk about numbing, but I feel like we've talked about that quite a bit in previous ones. I really liked when she talked about treating people like objects.
You like treating people like objects?
Dehumanization.
Caitlin? No, I don't treating people like objects. People like people.
I'm sorry.
Is that something that resonated with you guys at all,
it's like our whole world's problem. Like if you're not willing, it's like if you're not willing to put your name out. When I read about like the service industry, like not actually treating like your waitress or waiter or whatever it is in the service industry, like you're not making physical contact with them and they're just someone that's meeting your needs, you dehumanize them. And that's terrible. And we do that
Alfred,
in so many ways with so many people. Well,
it's something that we don't think about because you're like, I'm not being mean. I wasn't mean. I didn't like yell at the waitress and tell her to take my food back. Like, it's just like, did you make them feel seen though? Did you make them feel like a human? Did you look them in the eye and smile? Have a kid and it's not, I think it's also nice that she said, we don't have to go deep with every person we meet. We don't have to be like, tell me your life story, but just like, it's all about little connections. Like she gave the analogy of a string of lights, how it's not like a floodlight. It's like little tiny string of lights, like Christmas lights. Little blips. And that's all we need to be for people is like, and she talked about like how many times have we been on our phones while checking out the grocery store and you don't even make the person feel like you care, you see them. And it just, like, it makes me so sad to think that I we all do that.
Yeah, and once again, you're missing opportunities to connect with people when you do that. You're so involved with whatever it is, your phone, or just there could be someone in front of you that needs you to look at them, and that needs you to do even simple things, little blips that could really change the course of their life or their day or whatever. And when we're so focused on ourselves and inward that we can't even treat them like the person that they are, we miss opportunities to connect and to give them something and love them and help them.
Well, and also ourselves, it's like, like sometimes I don't think we realize what we need, but I've definitely had moments where it's like, maybe I was reaching out to try to be nice to somebody else, and I walk away being like, well, I just totally got fed. I totally got uplifted, even though maybe my thought originally was, oh, they look, I'm going to be nice. But then you're like, oh gosh, I'm the one that got fed just then. And, because we all do need connections. And I think about it that sometimes the majority of the interactions we have with other humans are those little interactions. Where you just get a moment at the store, we're passing by someone, where you get to make eye contact and smile or say thank you. Like, that's probably the majority of interactions that we have. And so what are we ingraining in ourselves when we don't treat people like people? And what are people ingraining in us when we don't get treated like people? It's like this cycle that, because that is the majority of the kind of interactions we get, like, it's teaching us culturally a really bad message.
I think
it's like COVID so hard.
Quarantine is probably, this is something that like made a lot of people worse at this, because we were kind of afraid to have interactions and like, oh, stay back. And not that we shouldn't be doing that, like, obviously, like, be safe. But I think this is something that everybody needs to realize. You need to not get into the habit of being disconnected when you're around other humans. Like, I've noticed, my little girl is really good at this. She says hi to everyone we pass on blocks. Everyone, every single person. And at first it used to embarrass me. I'm like, you don't have to say hi to every human, because we pass a lot of people on the trails by our house. She says hi to everyone, and they always like are surprised. Oh, hi. And it uplifts them. And I'm like, how simple of a thing to do that is, like, we're so used to being so boxed in sometimes. And I said, I think quarantine has done it, like, is going to make this worse.
Yes. Well, like, I really like, oh, sorry, were you done?
I am done.
You lagged and I didn't realize you were still talking. My bad connection. Go. But I liked at the beginning of the pandemic, everybody was talking about social distance. And a woman said, on some media thing, she was like, we shouldn't call it social distancing. We should call it physical distancing. Like, the problem is in the physical distance, but you can still socialize. You can still be social. We have to find ways to be that. And it's like, even though it is harder to connect with somebody when you can't see their, I mean, it really is. Or hear them. I know. I realize.
I don't hear anybody when they're like this.
I know. Who knew that most of us were deaf? Like, I can't hear anything. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. But, it's like, you can still, like, you can smile with your eyes. You can still say, how are you? Like, you can.
Some of us are better at than others. My eyes disappear.
I have squinty eyes too.
I love it.
But that's another good challenge for the week, is like, in your interactions, I want you to like pay attention. Just like start by paying attention to how you interact with people, and are you treating them like a person that is working hard or that's doing something of value? Are you treating them like an object that's doing something for you, or are you treating them like a human who's making a difference? And
something simple you can do is like read their name tag and say their name, or like if the waiter tells you their name, remember it. And my husband's so cute. He actually asked me this earlier this week. So if you guys have a good answer, let me know. But he always says, like, if he can't remember their name, like a server or someone, he'll say, thanks, boss, to him. Cause he thinks it like, he's like, isn't that a good, like, uplifting thing to call people? And he's like, does that work for girls, or should I call them something else? And at first I was kind of like, it's kind of masculine, but then I'm like, no,
wait a second.
Call those girls bosses. Yeah. He's like, is there something else? I'm like, nope, you should definitely call him a boss.
Yeah.
He'll be like, yeah, I'm a boss.
I love that.
Chick-fil-A does the best, I think, at this.
Oh my gosh. Chick-fil-A.
Well, sometimes it's to the point of really uncomfortable. Like you're so uncomfortable, you're waiting for your food, and they just keep chatting to you. All I want to do is roll my window up right now.
They do that at Dutch Brothers too. They're just so funny. Anyways,
There's a guy that's a checkout clerk at Ralph's, the grocery store I go to, and like if he's ever there when I'm there, I will wait in a little extra line to go to his thing, because every time I go there, you see it with every person. I'm not special. He just makes everybody feel great. He says, "How you do today?" Mask or no mask, that's how he is. And I'm ashamed now.
That's why I shop here. Trader Joe's. I love those Trader Joe's employees.
They're great.
They're like the best.
And it's like,
I just want to hug them all.
it makes a difference. Like, it makes a huge difference. Like, we all are remembering specific, people or brands that have a culture of that they obviously treat, their employees, or teach their employees to treat people, and it makes a huge difference in like just how you feel when you leave somewhere that made you, feel seen.
We need to Lindsay, you got to do a lesson on this for your tours. So when people are in the crowd, like everyone turn and say hello to each other.
Give a hug. Wait, don't give a hug.
A 6-foot wave. Okay.
I love it.
I love it.
Oh, well, we have talked for quite a long time. I don't want to go too much on it.
I'm getting text from my spouse saying,
okay.
you better come inside, Jimmy.
It's gonna explode. Just kidding.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I'll probably stay on and chat just a little bit more with my peeps.
Yes.
But that was great. Next week we'll be reading chapter 6, 5.
Do you want to finish this or go to chapter 6? Because we left a lot out. I'm good with whatever you want to do.
If we feel like there's something we need to touch on next week, we can touch on it before, right?
Yeah.
And then
I say we move on to chapter.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, there was so much.
5? Oh,
Yeah.
it's 5. We're on 5.
Sorry, reading chapter 5.
5 is short.
Okay, so maybe we can touch on the stuff we didn't get to in this chapter.
Literally like not even.
I need a short chapter.
I know this week it's funny, everybody in the chat, we were talking on Marco Polo, all of us, and we were like, has anyone read the chapter yet? I literally finished it today and then was like making the little like lesson plan kind of thing, and I was like, oh,
Week.
But everybody said the same thing.
Picking up again.
Life is getting busy again.
And I'm like, oh gosh, it's going to be really intentional. I'm going to try to be really intentional with what I allow to go, because, I want to take a page out of the COVID year. Just one page.
Yes.
The rest?
Yeah, it's a short chapter, so maybe we can talk about some of the stuff from last week. But I'll be out of town, but I'll be here, I think. Yeah, I'll be here, because I think I'll be with Whitney and Vivian together.
If you guys are all together? I'm so jealous.
I think that's what we're going to do.
Caitlin, just fly here, and then
I know.
we'll be together.
Oh, look at us.
Or you guys could just fly there, and then we could all be together.
Wouldn't that be something?
I would love that. Could you imagine? We would have to at least like do one like dance or something, choreograph something if we're all together, right?
Okay, I'm not coming.
Oh my gosh.
Like the old days.
Yes. Wait, Caitlin, did we do that when I was roommates with you? Did we like do
we did
musical
one
snack?
With the ward.
Oh,
we just did a flash mob with the ward.
Yes.
That's all I remember.
At that dance. We taught a whole dance to all the people that lived in our apartment complex, so that when we went to this big dance, we could like bust out a flash mob.
Was that on Halloween?
It was on Halloween.
Yep, and we were the Playboy Bunny rejects.
Yes, okay, we have to explain this. We were Playboy Bunny rejects, so we had like rejected like written on our, our costume, and we were like really unsexy bunnies.
Yeah, we were like more like a hare, like
big
brown,
furry, unflattering costumes with our ears. Anyways.
And didn't you take a bite out of your ear?
There was a bite out of the ear. I made our costumes. It was pretty funny. I made costumes for us when I lived with Janny too. Our whole apartment. We're a rainbow.
Yep, you're the costume person.
Resident costume maker. Just like Allie.
Blue. Were you purple? You were purple. I was
purple.
Blue.
Yeah, that was
Whitney
so fun.
was green. No. I don't remember.
Whitney was red.
Whitney was red. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta go.
Okay. Love you.
Love you all. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Love you. Mwah.
Bye.
Okay, well, that was a lot of fun. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here. I'll go just a little bit longer and chat with you guys. I also, please let me know anything that you want. I am going to stream soon. Another practice one. Lindsay, can we do that tomorrow? Can we do a stream tomorrow? A practice one? Okay, we'll do it tomorrow. I stay tuned on my Instagram. Let me just look at my schedule and see what I've got going on. Let's see. Sorry to do this. I should have been more prepared. Oh, wait. Wait a second. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna say 3 o'clock. Okay, 3 o'clock Pacific time. I'm going to do another violin practicing session. So here, Twitch, 5 o'clock, or sorry, 3 o'clock PST tomorrow. So yes. Anyways, let me see any other comments. Issue 4 of the comic book. Someone, Lindsey Stirling fan forever, is asking about. Guys, it's almost, I know it's been, I keep saying this, it's almost done. It's almost done. It really is almost done. I'm actually having like kind of a final review of it, like to see where everything's at this Saturday. So we should be going to print within like the next week, I hope. Pending. And issue 5 also is almost done. So those two will come out pretty fast. The story, I hope you guys are enjoying the story. Please let me know in the Discord. Like, I think there's a comic book section. I would love to know what you guys think of the comic book. And you know, you can be honest with me. I worked really hard on it, but again, it was my first time doing a story like that. So any feedback would be great. Let's see. I know. So Jacob is like, you said most done or almost done the last time. I know, and I said that. I addressed it, Jacob. But yeah, but I mean it this time. Like I said, I'm having a call, or I'm having a big review of the whole thing on Saturday. And as long as there's no like issues, they've been, anyways, they got held up while they were working on the art. Okay. Oh, thank you, Prism Sterling. It says I love them so much, and Lindsey Stirling fan forever says I'm in love with the story. So thank you guys. I just subscribed. Thanks, Relaxation Valley, for subscribing. Oh, thank you, Allie. She says, better make sure that everything is great and delayed than rushing it. And I am a firm believer in that. There's a lot of stuff that I've had to delay because I was like, it's just not ready yet. I'm not a comic book fan, but I absolutely love this. Thank you so much, PTA Sterlingite. All right. Any other last questions? How do you find inspiration for the songs to write? That's from Blue Violin 198. I find inspiration to write music from all sorts of things. And I think I said at the beginning of the book club, one of the reasons we chose this book is because this book, Daring Greatly, inspired my Brave Enough album. You know, the whole concept of being brave enough to be vulnerable, brave enough to feel, brave enough to, you know, enter life without the armor that we sometimes, you know, the bad armor that lugs us down and draws us down. And, you know, Shatter Me was written. I actually was thinking about Shatter Me today. I almost used it as an example because, you know, when we were talking about the armor that, like, you know, sometimes weighs us down, that's basically what Shatter Me was written about. It was written about how it was written my experience with my eating disorder that I had years ago. And so I write a lot from my own personal experiences, but I used this snow globe as a metaphor for it. She thought it was like armor. She thought she was being protected by the snow globe, but she realized that it was actually a cage. And that's how I felt about anorexia. Is at first I thought it was protecting me. It was keeping me, it was making me feel like I was in control, but then I realized it was controlling me and I had to break free from it. So, you know, oh, thank you so much, Sonic. The Phantasm, he says my hair is great. And that the emote was, yeah, anyways, oh, thanks. I like a wig every once in a while. Will you bring back string sessions? You know, I wasn't sure if, I wasn't quite sure if people liked it, to be honest. So I didn't continue with it because I didn't feel like it was, not like anyone disliked it, but it was just so much work. Oh, someone says, Zane says, I loved string sessions. So does you. That says, someone's asking, what is String Sessions? String Sessions was a podcast I started at the beginning of COVID, and I would have other artists on. Oh, everybody's saying they thought it was so cool. Are you kidding me? Oops, I'm sorry. But yeah, people were, I would bring artists on and I would talk to them, and I got to interview them. It was so fun to do that, but I'd have to prep for these interviews every week. And also I would take one of their songs and make an entire string arrangement of it with like multiple violins. And I was recording them all by myself, comping them, mixing them. Like, it was so much work, writing the arrangement, filming a video, editing the video every week. And anyway, so I was like, because I'm so sorry, I didn't think people were enjoying them that much. So I decided I would pause. But if people are really enjoying them, hey, maybe I will do it again. Oh, and Relaxation Valley is saying they love the Gabby Barrett one the most. Yeah, she was awesome. And that song is so cool. And yeah, I really enjoyed the process. So maybe, especially now that I, have a little more resources and I like don't have to find, like, I remember I was at my sister's house in Missouri. And so I was literally like filming these with no equipment. Like, I was taping the phone to the wall and pressing record. And like I filmed one in her bathroom. And it was so funny because I thought it was pretty because the shower curtain was pretty, and I like put candles behind it so it kind of looked glowy. And I was like, oh, that'll be cool. But then I didn't see that you could see like the toilet, like the top of the toilet a little bit, enough so that people were like, is she sitting on a toilet? Is she in a bathroom? The answer is yes, I was. Anyways, makes me relatable, right? Okay. I love the Amy Lee one from Blue Violin. Yes. I mean, you guys know I love Amy Lee. And also, I told a story earlier about how like I was going through a really rough time, and there was a couple people that texted me like that I hadn't heard from in a while, and it was very like out of the blue, and I just felt so loved. One of those was Amy Lee. She was just listening to her intuition. She's a wonderful human. Someone says that you can tell it's the bathroom anyway. So like even without seeing the toilet, Hal see you dead. Oh, is telling me that you can see it anyway. You could tell even without the toilet. So joke's on me. I thought I was being clever. Yes, the Bishop Briggs one was a lot of fun. Bishop is so freaking cool. Like after I had my interview with her, oh, yeah, Zane says he likes that one too. After I did my interview with her, I was literally like, I want her to be my best friend. She is the kindest, just coolest person. Anyways, I love when I meet people and see that. Hold on, please, 1 second. Oh, Lindsay texted me and she says, maybe it's time we graduate String Sessions to live on Twitch. That would be fun. Doing little live interviews here. I'm not mad at that idea. I could do the arrangement and I could premiere it on Twitch. We could even pre-record it because then, or we could do a live, I don't know, but we could do the interview live on Twitch and then like go to the video. That'd be fun. Anyways, love that idea. I would love that, says PTA Sterling. Oh, true. Oh, just imagine a string session with Pink. Jen Fielder says, are you kidding me? I think my head would explode. I'd be so excited. We'll brainstorm. That sounds fun. Thank you, Lindsay. By the way, Lancy Fish. That's Lindsay Fishman, guys. The Lindsay that runs in and out of here helping me. Which today went great. We didn't even have to fix anything. Oh my gosh, mind blown if it was a string session with John Williams. Yeah, me too. My head would explode again. Please do one with Mako. Oh, I think I mentioned this earlier, but we have a acoustic arrangement of Lose You Now coming out soon. So it's basically like a string session and it's so beautiful. So maybe I'll have Mako come on and do like, I don't know, we could do a live chat sometime on here. I should, Lindsay, that's a great idea. I should just chat with other artists on here. Okay, doing it. But yeah, maybe I'll bring Mako onto one of these and we'll just like chat about life. I like, thank you for coming to my rescue, Thomas. People sing in the shower. Why not film on the toilet? Thank you. My point exactly. Okay, we have a couple more subscribers that have come in. Allie, thank you for subscribing for 2 months. I think Nano Nonsense put, I think I got that one already, but Nick Shevchenko, subscribe for 5 months. Thank you so much. Awaba Jack, subscribe for 2 months. Thank you, thank you. Relaxation Valley, subscribe for 1 month. You're the best. And Voting Rock 2 subscribed with Prime. Thank you so much. All right. Well, everybody, again, thanks for being here. I really am enjoying this. It's nice to feel connected. And by the way, I can't officially say anything yet, but I will say my own like gut instincts are making me feel like I think we'll be able to tour this summer. I didn't promise. I said, oh, thank you. I think someone just subscribed. Oh, you gave a sub gift. Thank you. But I'm not saying that I know or have any logical proof or evidence that this will happen. I'm just saying my gut feeling is telling me that I think we're going to be able to tour this summer, and I'm very hopeful. I know my crew is all really excited to get back out there on the road, and every artist, and so when that happens, I'm just going to probably cry with the first time I walk on stage. I'll be so excited and so grateful. I'll just like emotions will just come out my eyeballs in the form of tears. So anyways, we are, tickets are still on sale. And I appreciate everybody who held on to their tickets from, when the tour got canceled last summer. It got rebooked for this summer. And like I said, I'm feeling good. I think it's gonna happen, but I can't officially say that yet. So yeah, if you do want to come see us live, tickets are starting to sell again, like quite a bit. So jump on it so you can get tickets, because I don't know, we might have to make capacity, so they might sell out. So I'm just saying, if you want tickets, I would get them sooner than later, because I would hate for you not to make it. So I still have August with my best friend, Prism Sterlingite. Would you go back to Mexico? Yes. Not this year. I think it's going to be a while before we get to tour internationally. And also, we went to Mexico sooner than we've been to the US. Or more recently, I should say. We went to Mexico more recently than we've been to the US, Australia, Russia, and South America. So it might be a while till we get back to Mexico, because we definitely have to do some other places first that got canceled. So, but anyways, I think that's all I got for you today. By the way, look at my nails. They got little words written on them. I quite like them. It's like, just because I have short, tiny fingernails doesn't mean I can't have pretty ones. They're stickers. I've started doing stickers on my hands. I mean, they're like nail stickers. They're supposed to be for your nails. They're not like little gold stars, which I love, but okay. Anyways. No, thank you. People are saying they like my meet and greets. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how meet and greets work. We're going to do them, but we'll have to just figure it out. I don't know if you'll have to show your vaccine card. I mean, I have no idea. I'm just guessing. Anyways, all right. I'm starting to make no sense. So I should probably go before I say something even more nonsensical. So anyways, love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Join us tomorrow, 3 o'clock PST, violin practicing. And hopefully this weekend I will get to stream with my tour crew. We're going to play games. So, all right. Have a good one.